Yeah, so like I'm so motherfucking aggravated. Like when I was a little girl, like a little girl, I cared for the fireworks and stuff over the case. But now I just be like, bitch, like stop popping it. Bitch, I want to hear all that in their ear. Like 4th of July, like, I just holidays periods to get.
See, y'all thought I was capping in it. Everybody in there be getting right behind it. Getting that record clean. I'm talking about I'm finna spread my wings now.
You know that feeling when you're scrolling through TikTok, watching someone's life unfold in perfect little clips, laughing at their jokes, admiring their talent, and you think to yourself, they seem so happy? Well, what if I told you that behind those 263,000 followers, behind those perfectly styled wigs and that infectious smile, there was a darkness that nobody could see, a darkness that would eventually take everything away. On November 15th, 2025, 21-year-old Maurice Harrison, known to the world as Girlalala, was shot multiple times while sitting in the passenger seat of a car. The person who pulled the trigger? Her boyfriend of several years, Shanoid White Jr. But before we get into what happened that night, we need to talk about who Girlalala really was. Because this isn't just another headline. This is about a real person whose life mattered. If you're interested in true crime cases that make you think, that make you question what's really happened behind closed doors, then you're in the right place. Do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button and click the bell icon so you never miss a case from shadow crime. Trust me, you want to stay for this one. Let me take you back to who Maurice Harrison was before that tragic night. Girlalala wasn't just an influencer chasing clout or trying to go viral. She was a talented hairstylist in South Florida, someone who genuinely loved what she did. Her TikTok wasn't filled with random dance trends or pointless videos. She showcased her work, her creativity, her artistry. When you watch her content, you could see the passion. You could see someone who had found their calling and was living it out loud. She was a prominent figure in the South Florida transgender community, and that's important to understand. Girlalala didn't just exist in her space. She thrived. She built a platform where she could be authentically herself, where she could inspire others who might be struggling with their own identity. Over 250,000 people followed her journey. That's 250,000 people who saw something special in her, something real. But here's where things get complicated and honestly heartbreaking. Behind all those smiles, behind all that success, Maurice was in a relationship that, looking back now, had warning signs written all over it. She'd been dating Shanoid White Jr. for several years. On the surface, maybe it looked normal. Maybe to outsiders, they seemed like just another couple navigating life together. But if you look closer, if you really pay attention, the cracks were always there.
Calling this a roadway dispute, some sort of argument between two men that left one shot and killed and the person that did the shooting claiming self-defense. Now we know that person is being detained by TPD right now. This scene has been extremely active over the last few hours. We know it probably started somewhere between the 7 and 8 o'clock hour as we were simply driving by when we saw all of this happen. If you take a look at that video, this is from the Columbia restaurant along 5th in Ybor City. You could see dozens and dozens of Tampa police officers. We also just saw crime scene investigators on scene investigating those two separate cars, as well as the forensics team as well. Now, we do know that one person was shot. That man did pass away. The Tampa Police Department has not said if the shooter will be facing any charges. We saw them being questioned in the back of a police.
Social media has this weird way of preserving moments, doesn't it? And sometimes those moments tell us everything we need to know, but only in hindsight. People started going back through Girlalala's old videos after her death, and what they found was disturbing. There was one video where she had visible cuts on her nose and under her eye. In that same video,
he woke up with a demon in him. So what y'all think I should do? He blocked me. I blocked him. Now he making it seem like he's something. If he blocked me, I'm not supposed to block him back. Who the fuck do you think I am?
She mentioned that she and her boyfriend always fight. Always. Not sometimes. Not occasionally. Always. Now, I want you to think about that for a second. When someone says they always fight with their partner, what does that tell you? Because here's the thing. Healthy relationships have disagreements. Sure. But constant fighting? That's not normal. That's a red flag the size of a billboard. And yet, how many of us see those signs in people we follow online and just scroll past? How many times did someone watch that video and think, oh, that's just relationship drama, instead of recognizing for what it actually was? But it gets worse. Shenoid White Jr. wasn't just some guy with anger issues. He had a history. Back in 2022, 3 years before he killed Girlalala, he was arrested for domestic violence involving a completely different victim. Let that sink in. This man had already shown the world who he was. He'd already put his hands on someone else. And yet, somehow, he was still in Maurice's life years later. This is something that frustrates me so much about these cases. We talk about domestic violence like it's this unpredictable thing, like it just happens out of nowhere. But the truth? It almost never does. There are patterns. There are histories. There are previous victims who tried to warn us. White's 2022 arrest should have been a massive warning sign. It should have told everyone around him, including Maurice, that this was a dangerous person. But here's the brutal reality about abusive relationships. They don't operate on logic. They operate on manipulation, control, and fear. Girlalala's life wasn't just about her relationship, though. She had experienced profound loss even before that November night. Her brother was shot and killed in August 2024, just a few months before her own death. Can you imagine that? Losing your sibling to gun violence, grieving that trauma, trying to heal from that pain, and then less than a year later, you're gone too. Her family had already been torn apart once. They'd already buried one child, and then they had to bury another. I think about her family a lot when I research cases like this.
Any probable cause, and I'm going to keep the no bond hold on Mr. White.
But Sunday was behind bars, facing charges of premeditated and first-degree murder with a firearm after being accused of killing Gerala. Broward County Sheriff's Office says around 7 p.m. Friday night at the 3300 block of Northwest 37th Street in Lauderdale Lakes, they found Gerala in the front passenger seat of a car with multiple gunshot wounds. NBC6 obtained this exclusive video showing White Jr. stepping out of his car, going to the passenger side and putting Gerala back.
What do you even say at a funeral like that? How do you process losing 2 children in less than a year, both to violence? It's the kind of pain that doesn't have words. And the fact that Maurice had to carry that grief while also dealing with whatever was happening in her relationship with White, it just adds another layer of tragedy to this whole story. So let's talk about what happened on November 15th, 2025, the night that changed everything. Maurice was sitting in the passenger seat of a car with White. According to reports, they got into an argument. We don't know exactly what they were arguing about, and honestly, it doesn't even matter because nothing, and I mean absolutely nothing, justifies what happened next. Shenoid White Jr. shot Maurice Harrison multiple times while she sat in that passenger seat. Multiple times. This wasn't an accident. This wasn't a moment of passion where something went wrong. This was deliberate. This was rage. This was murder. And here's where it gets even more chilling. After shooting her, White called 911 himself. He directed the deputies to his vehicle. When they arrived, they found Maurice with gunshot wounds. She was rushed to the hospital, but it was too late. She died from her injuries. 21 years old. Gone. Just like that. But wait, there's more to the story that makes it even harder to process. A Tesla nearby had a door camera, one of those security features that records what's happening around the car. That camera captured something absolutely haunting. The footage shows White getting out of the driver's side of the sedan. Then, and this is hard to even say, he grabs Maurice by her hair and puts her back inside the car. After that, you can see him pacing around with a cell phone in his hand. This was right after he shot her. Think about what that means. She was still alive at that point. She was trying to get out, maybe trying to get help, trying to escape, and he physically forced her back into that car. When I watched the description of that footage, something inside me just broke. Because that image, that moment, it shows you everything you need to know about control, about power, about how abusers operate. Even in her final moments, even after shooting her, he was still trying to control her. He couldn't let her go. He couldn't let her escape. And that phone in his hand, He was probably calling 911, probably getting ready to play the victim, to craft whatever story he thought would save him.
Stay away from a bitch named Kayla, y'all. That is not the wave. Bruh. Y'all understand who cut my hair? Miami. Miami cut my hair, bro. All the play fighting and fighting that we do, my hair ended up getting real patchy, so I had to cut it off. Y'all remember when y'all first seen me, I had a lot of hair and shit. I really think they just trolling me, bro. They could be telling the truth, but I really feel like they just trolling me. That's why I ain't giving it too much. Cause every woman I ever met in college, I kept it so real with them that if they ever ran across me in the future, they should be able to just be like, oh, this me, this that. You feel me? Cause I kept it real with the women I was talking to. That's how I created the dream team. I went to college, and I never lied about what female I was talking to. I went to college and was being myself. I went to college and told every female the truth. So it's like, you know, if you know me and you say I was fucking with you, then you would know how I am. So you would just tell me who you is. That's why I feel like they just trolling.
The community response to Girlalala's death was immediate and overwhelming. People were devastated. Her followers, her clients, people who had never even met her in person but felt connected to her through her content. They all came together. A GoFundMe was set up for her funeral expenses, and the support was incredible. The campaign raised over $19,000. But one donation stood out. Rapper JT, who apparently had a connection with Maurice, donated $13,500. She posted a tribute on Instagram talking about how grateful she was for the love that Girlalala always showed her. That tells you something about the kind of person Maurice was. She wasn't just creating content for likes and follows. She was building real connections. She was touching real lives. Shanoid White Jr. appeared before a judge and was denied bond. He's currently being held without bond, charged with first-degree murder with a firearm. First-degree means premeditated. It means this wasn't a spur-of-the-moment thing. The legal system is saying he made a choice to kill her. And with that Tesla footage, with his history of domestic violence, with everything we know, it's hard to see how he walks away from this. But here's what bothers me. Justice in court doesn't bring Maurice back. It doesn't undo the trauma her family has endured. It doesn't get back those 263,000 followers the person they love watching. It just puts someone behind bars. And while that's important, it's not enough. So now I want you to really think about something. How many people knew? How many friends, family members, followers saw those cuts on her face, heard her talk about always fighting and said nothing? I'm not blaming them. Please understand that. I'm asking us all to look at ourselves. Because we live in this age where we see everything. We see people's lives play out in real time on our phones. And sometimes we see the warning signs. We see the red flags. But we scroll past because it's uncomfortable. Because we don't want to get involved. Because we tell ourselves it's not our business. But what if it is our business? What if speaking up, reaching out, asking someone if they're okay could save a life? What if Maurice had one more person in her corner telling her she deserved better, helping her find resources to leave safely? Would she still be here? We'll never know. And that's what haunts me about cases like this. Here are the questions I want to leave you with. Why do we normalize constant fighting in relationships? Why do we see bruises and cuts and just accept whatever explanation we're given? And most importantly, what does it say about us as a society that someone with a prior domestic violence arrest can go on to kill someone years later? What are we missing? What systems are failing? If you have thoughts on this, drop them in the comments. I really want to hear what you think, because these conversations matter. If this case affected you, if it made you think differently about the content you consume or the relationships around you, do me a favor. Share this video. Hit that like button. Subscribe to Shadow Crime if you haven't already. We cover cases that need attention, Cases that make us uncomfortable, cases that force us to ask better questions. And maybe, just maybe, by talking about these stories, we can prevent the next one. Maurice Harrison deserved better. Girlalala deserved better. Let's make sure we do better. I'll see you in the next one.